purpose of this video is to take us to the next step of, we've been looking at JavaScript objects, and now we're going to take that and expand our toolkit into using JSON, JavaScript object notation, and not only see what it is, but see why it's useful. So let's dive in with a remembering of what an object is, a JavaScript object. So here I've set up a variable obj, and I've created an object, presumably of weather it looks like. And it looks like we have in this object key value pairs. Remember that we have a key, we have latitude, longitude, and currently. The key is separated by colons, and what follows the colons is the value for that key. So here we have latitude, and then the value is a number, longitude, and the value is a number. These are all separated by commas. And remember that the last key value pair does not have a comma, so here we do not have an ending comma. Currently is a key that actually the value is also an object, and so we have an object within an object. And currently has a key of summary, and in this case the text is clear, which is a string, so that's in quotes. The last key value pair in this object does not have a comma. So here we have this object, and if we want to print out one of the values, for example, let's print out, or display, actually not print out, but display to the console the value of latitude, for example. So in order to do that, we will type in the name of the object, which is this variable obj, and then you can see that the different properties are being displayed for us. So I want to type out or display latitude and save that, and then if I run node script.js, then we can see latitude is being displayed. And then if I wanted to get at one of the sub values, so I wanted to get at summary, for example, then we can do console.log, again, obj, and then we'll get at currently, and then at summary. So we kind of go down the tree there and get to each of those values, and now we should be able to get to clear. All right, so that's well and good. That should be a review. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take this to the next step, and that is we're going to talk about what a JSON object is, or a JSON string is, really is the right word. So I'm going to convert our object, obj object, to a JSON string. All right, and then I'll show you why we're going to do that and kind of compare the difference. So I'm just going to jump in. It turns out that there is an object called JSON, and JSON has two methods, one which is stringify and one which is parse. And stringify, I said it, but I didn't write it, stringify. Okay, and so the JSON object stringify method gives us the ability to turn an object into a JSON string value, and parse gives us the ability to change a JSON string value into an object, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so let's kind of see this in action. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'll create a variable. I'll call it JSON string just for clarity. And I'm going to utilize that JSON object, which is all caps, JSON. And then one of the methods I said was available is stringify. I guess you have to spell it right. But anyway, what you can see is that stringify converts a JavaScript value to a JavaScript object notation to a JSON string. So that's what we said we were going to be doing. And we'll see what this means very shortly. So I'm going to take that obj variable that I created, and I'm going to convert it to a JSON string, and then let's just console log it so we can see what the heck is going on. All right, so let's go ahead and run that. Let me comment out these two so we don't have a confusion of what's being displayed at our console. So now we're just going to be seeing this JSON string. So assuming I saved it, I did. So let's see what it looks like. All right, so before we had this obj object, and now we're looking at it as exactly that. It's a string. Notice it's all on the same line. There's no line returns, it's all one line. So if we, and I'm going to elaborate on this soon enough. So let's just kind of walk through it step by step and see what's happening. Also, just by the way, notice that our JavaScript object, our key values do not have to be in quotes. They can be, but they're not. They don't have to be. But if we look at our JSON file, or our JSON string, I keep saying file, but our JSON string, all of our keys are now put into quotations. So that's an important difference as well. So it's all one long string, and our key values are now put into quotes. Just for a demonstration, let's use this parse method to take our string, our JSON string, and turn it back into an object. Just to see it work, and then we'll see why that's important as we move along. So let's do var back to object equals, again, I can use that JSON object, and I'm going to use the parse method this time, which says converts a JavaScript object notation string into an object. So, and then I need to put in the JSON string. And then we will console log back to, oops, don't think I did that right, back to object. Okay, so now if we run that, we should see there's our string, there's our JSON string, and now it's converted it back into an object. So notice the difference. So again, quotes, no quotes. JSON is one long string line. Our object is broken up into line returns, makes it a little bit easier to read, that kind of thing. All right, so why is this a big deal? Well, I'll show you. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring down, as an example, this website. Let's see. It's actually, I wanted to go to forecast.io. Forecast.io is a website of many that will give us the ability to tap into the fact that it's keeping track of temperatures. And so they have provided us with an API with software, or with the ability to, if we follow the rules, we can utilize their API, and we'll see how to do this in a subsequent video. We can, if we send this, we'll learn how to do this in a minute, but if I send this particular information to the URL, if I copy and paste this into the URL, what I'm seeing is, I'm just going to go into raw data. This is what's going to be returned to me. I have access to this information, which means that if I provide to their API a latitude and a longitude, I'm going to get back a JSON file, and this is what their JSON file looks like. In other words, and we'll look at this in more detail in the next video, but if I copy all of this code, let's see, let's go to Notepad if I have Notepad open. I'm just going to copy that code just for demonstration and show you what data is being returned to me. Notice that all of the data, again, it's JSON, so all of that data that's being returned to me from their website is all on one line. It's a JSON string. All of their key value pairs are in quotes, and it's all one long string. Okay? So the point is, and we'll look at this in a little bit, there are lots of websites that are available that if we send information in a proper format, and we'll look at that in a bit, to a URL, data is going to be returned to us in the form of a JSON string. And coincidentally, just kind of a side note, I was curious as to, this is a longitude and this is a latitude, and I was kind of curious as to, there it just showed it, as to where that was, and for some reason they're returning us the coordinates for Alcatraz. Okay, so just kind of side FYI. So this is the raw data, and I have a, it's called Json Viewer, an extension that I've installed here in Chrome that will also allow me to see the JSON version of that to make it a little bit more visual. So you can see that we're going from, this is what's being returned to us is JSON, And this particular extension can convert it into a JavaScript object so I can see it a little bit clearer. So what you're seeing is that data that's being returned to us is a bunch of key value pairs that have some keys. They also have some embedded or some sub objects that have more information. So here's information about what the at Alcatraz right now. It's there's the time, and we'll look, that's in UTC time, I think. Anyway, so there's also the summary, blah blah blah. Here's the minutely forecast, minutely, I think that's, or minutely, minutely, I'm not sure what that word is. Hourly, there's more information about hourly. Now here, interestingly enough, they have an hourly, and this is an array, so you can access this particular piece of information through data of 0, data of 1, etc., etc. So there's our arrays that are all part of our object. Anyway, all right, so what we're going to do is take this back to, so I still have that string in, this is going to be ugly, but that's okay, it'll still get the idea. So all of that string that I just copied into the JavaScript, the JSON string that I just copied into Notepad, let's put that into a string here, equals, this is going to be ugly, I'm going to put it in single quotes because there's a lot of double quotes in that JSON file. And okay, so obviously it's extending way back. If I did a toggle word wrap and I had all of those toggle down below, so that's pretty ugly. It's a big string, but nonetheless, that's all the information that we saw that got returned from our forecast API. All right, so now the idea is, well, now I got that data from the website in essence, and I want to put it into my own web page. So I kind of hope you see where we're going with all of this. So let's take latitude. So we saw that we had string. We need to convert this string into an object, don't we? Kind of what we did up here. So to convert a string to an object, we used this method. So we're going to take this string and we're going to convert it into a JavaScript object that we can then use in our web page. So our variable is str. So way down at this ugly, I'm going to undo that word wrap so I can see it all on one line. Toggle word wrap. There we go. So it's all on one long line. All right, so now let's do the same thing we did here. We're going to convert that JavaScript, that JSON string into a JavaScript object. So I'm going to call this weather report is equal to, use that JSON object, and we use stringify, which again is taking that JavaScript, oh, I did it backwards, didn't I? I need to do I get them confused too. I need to take a string and convert it to an object, so that's parse. So converts a JavaScript object notation into an object. So there we go, str. Okay, so now let's just out of curiosity console log, just to make sure I'm doing this right, weather report, and see if we've done it correctly. P-O-R-T. Okay, so I'm going to undo this console logs just so I don't get confused as to what's being displayed. And now let's look and see what we've got. There we go. It took a few minutes, but now you can see that that long JSON file that we got from that forecast is in fact returning a big old JavaScript object that I can now use to put into my web page. In other words, I could do an inner HTML latitude, inner HTML longitude, and remember to get at that, I would do something like, kind of done it above, but console log weather report, because that's the name of my object now, and then at the key value pair latitude. Latitude would be the key, and then we should see 37. I'm going to console comment that part out. Now we should just see at the very bottom of this 37.82. So in this video, we've seen how we can take an object, and this is what we access to put things into our web page. We can go get a JSON string from a, oops, that wasn't it here. We can go get a JSON string from another website that's going to return us data, and lots of websites provide us with this opportunity. And so we can get data from another website that we can then convert into an object, a JavaScript object for ourselves to use on our website. So we're getting data from other websites, other web services that offer us the ability to get data from them, and we're going to plug that into our own website. And there's lots of web services out there that provide us that opportunity, and a lot of those sites nowadays are sending information through this JavaScript object notation format. So in our next video, we will see how to do that in a little bit more detail.